In the second video series of nonverbal communication, today we are going to discuss and talk about various important topics. Paralanguage. Now, do you have an idea that your voice also matters in communication? Everyone's voice is different. No two people have same voice. Some speak very high, some speak very slow. Many people have very harsh tone. But then in order to meet or in order to carry out day-to-day activities, we have to see that our voice matters. We have already talked about how voice can be identified in what particular mood you are in. What are you feeling at that particular time? Your expression, your feelings are conveyed through your voice. So when you are happy, your voice becomes distinct. That's the beauty of understanding non-verbal communication. Now, language of voice carries intentional and unintentional emotions and messages. It expresses articulation. You could have problems of pronunciation or problems of translation. The language of voice is very important. Voice, as we all know, is a gift of God, and not everyone can have a good voice like big celebrities. But yes, you could definitely train your voice to become a better sounding voice. So this is important point. Even if you don't have good voice, even if you don't know how to use your voice tone, you can train your voice and become a better speaker. Many a times, because of depression, despair, sorrow, we are not able to articulate well. Articulation means expression. But in order to be successful, in order to make your message heard and received, you need to ensure that whatever you are saying is absolutely clear. And as I said, clarity is the hallmark of all communication. Clarity can ensure that the words are spoken properly and understood in the right sense. The process of saying or making the sound actually goes through different stages, such as articulatory, respiratory, and the way you make your mouth movement. So there are different ways. With the help of your teeth, you can create sounds. Your tongue, in a particular way, if you twist, you can get the correct word. So learning to modulate, learning to train your voice is a training which you need to go through. And if you get a good voice trainer, you can be very effective in communication. Now, why does this problem of voice arise? Now, we all belong to different regions, north, south, west, east, and we all have a local dialect. This dialect is influenced by a local language, such as people from south have very typical dialect. When once they speak English, you can clearly recognize that this person is a South Indian. Similarly, if a person from Punjab is speaking English, you can clearly make out the tone of Punjabi language gets reflected once you speak English. And that is where the voice training comes into picture. It will make the local influence on your voice neutral, and will make your voice sound more reasonable, more neutral. People won't be able to judge whether you are a north, south, western, eastern, or from a foreign country. You need to speak proper words with good pronunciation. Now, if the things you want to say are not clear, then the message won't be delivered properly. And this is where pronunciation comes into picture. Many times we are not able to pronounce the words correctly, and because of which we may get misinterpreted. In many countries, English is a second language. In our country as well. So when we try to translate it from a mother language, the mother tongue, to an English language, in this process we try to literally translate Hindi to English, and this is where we make mistakes. This is where we are not able to change or understand the nuances of speaking English. Now, what are some of the important features of voice? Quality, volume, rate, pitch, pronunciation, silence, and pause. Now, we will talk about all these features of voice in detail, and I'll explain to you how all these features of voices are important once you're making or once you're speaking to someone else. So, because of specific training and because of specific learning, you can utilize your voices for common good. Now, once we talk about quality, every voice has its own quality. As I already told you, you can speak loud, slow, fast. But once you address a gathering of people, you need to check the audibility level. Whether you are audible to the last person who is sitting in the room, and then try to ensure that everyone gets the voice properly. You should neither be too loud nor be too slow. This ensures the quality of your voice. Many people, even when they speak through the microphone, are not able to make their sound heard. Many a times they eat their words. Eating words means they don't speak all the words in the sentences. So clarity becomes a problem. So quality is very important. And what sort of voice do you have can make the qualitative use of your voice. Now then comes volume. How loud and how slow, how high, how fast you speak. Then comes rate. When we speak, many people you will find they are very fast. And if you are very fast, there is actually a tendency that people who speak fast, they forget something in the middle and then the entire soul becomes damn squib. Means you don't relate what you spoke earlier and what you're speaking now. So it's very important for you to have a reasonable rate of speech. You can make your voice heard and you can also ensure that your rate is proper. And that is also in line with the understanding of your audience. Then comes pronunciation. Now, some of the common faults of voice is throatiness, which means deep resonance in voice because of maybe bad throat. This can happen. Breathiness, passage of too much air into the vocal cords, which makes your voice sound very fizzy. Nasalization, releasing air through your nose. Harshness, inhibited flow of air. Muffled, lazy lip, joint movements. Hoarseness, inflammation of lungs. Now, when a person has this problem, their voice quality actually results a deep resonance. I'm talking about throatiness. So, resonance in the voice becomes very throaty. Sometimes, in fact, it doesn't sound very well. Breathiness, I've already spoken about. It's passage of too much of air in the vocal cords. Problem of nasalness, nasalization, because the air is released through nose. And as I already said, everything in this world has a solution. So why can't your voice, which has certain problems, have a solution? Yes, the solution is training. You can train your voice. Find a good mentor, find a good trainer who can train your voice. In fact, if you're listening to my speech, you will find the clarity in each and every word. And if you continuously hear my videos, listen to my videos, you will understand how important it is for you to speak each and every word with absolute clarity so that the other person understands what you're speaking. So there are certain things when we come across, we need to take care, especially when we are articulating. We have to speak words clearly. Every word should be distinct when you are speaking. You have to avoid chopping, slurring, mumbling. Many a times people just don't speak the words together. Don't know is dunno. Want to know is wanna. Now, if a person who is not very familiar with English will just think what is wanna, but it is actually want to. So make sure that as far as possible you speak the entire words clearly. That will help you get understood by the people in a more better way. Now next comes the volume, the degree of loudness or softness of voice. Voice level varies depending upon the listeners. You need to be audible, you need to adjust to acoustics for the room, you need to avoid speaking too loud. The voice levels may vary depending upon the audience. When you speak to a small audience where there are 20 to 30 people, there is no need to shout. But if there are more people, you need to adjust your voice according to the room. So you need to understand there can be certain rise and falls in your voice. And this is called intonation. Intonation is the rise and fall in your voice. Intonation is something which will make your voice, your speech interesting. Intonation is something which will make you stress on certain words more so that the impact of that particular word in the sentence is felt by the public. I hope this point is absolutely clear. Intonation is very, very important. Then comes the pace and the rate. You can't be too fast, too slow. You have to decide your pace as per your audience. The variety adds spice to one's speech. Complex matter requires slow delivery. If there is a concept which you want others to understand in a better way, better it is to be slow while making this speech. You might have heard many people saying that after 10 to 15 minutes, I don't know what I should say. The problem is preparation. Before you go even out on the stage, you need to understand that there is a particular time limit which you are given. Accordingly, you have to make sure that you are preparing yourself for that time. You can't go prepared just to speak for 5 minutes for a 1 hour program. Imagine what you will look like to the people. So I'm sure this point is absolutely clear to you. Pitch and variations. Now, vocal cords vibrate in the production of sound. Pitch changes are called inflections. Pitch variations convey feelings. A speech without variation becomes monotonous. Monotonous means you're listening to something which is going in a very slow pace, same voice, no intonation, no voice modulation. Pronunciation is speaking the words correctly with word stress, sentence stress, and intonations. And that is very important. Intonations, I have already said, it is rise and fall in the pitch of the voice. Falling tone, statements, command, what questions. Rising tone is to request, yes, no questions, question tags. This is how you can modulate your voice. Silence is also a very important part of your speech. It is important for thought process, reactions, introspections, decision making. Silence is better than unmeaning words. Thank you.